this video is absolutely the result of me going on way too many NetGalley request sprees and then getting accepted when I thought I wasn't going to get accepted. Hello, my name is Elise, and this is going to be a video about some arcs that I have that I'm really excited to read. Technically, I have quite a few arcs, way more than I'm about to mention in this video, and that is because sometimes I get overly excited when I log on to the NetGalley site and I just click request on every single title that looks somewhat interesting to me, and yeah, then I'll get the email saying you have been accepted, and I regret it because now I have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of arcs to read. But the goal of this video is just me pulling out some specific arcs that I'm really excited for and hopefully just getting myself more excited to read them, because right now I'm a bit overwhelmed with how many arcs I have, because I do want to read them. I requested them for a reason, but just with the sheer amount of them, it kind of makes me not even want to open the NetGalley app because there's a lot of them. But yeah, I hope this will make these titles sound super interesting and fun. If you've read them, please let me know if I should prioritize certain books, because again, it's just a lot and I'm trying to get through them all. And also, this is just so you all are aware of some upcoming releases, because once again, I requested them for a reason, because they sounded really good. So hopefully they aren't disappointing, because they all sound amazing, and I've read some reviews and they all look like they're gonna be amazing. So yeah, I will get through them eventually. So the first book is called As Far As You'll Take Me, and I do plan to read this as soon as I can because it is being published in February and it is almost February, so I kind of want to take care of that before it's released. But it is about a boy from a small town, and he can't wait to escape this small town because in that town of his, he is a closeted teen and he doesn't want to face the disappointment of his parents, and he just needs to get out. So he finds a summer job in London. And in this summer job, he is having a great time because, first of all, he has a job and he is traveling all across Europe, and he makes new friends and he has his first boyfriend, and things on the surface are looking great. But deep down, there's a lot of anxiety and he's actually starting to feel a bit homesick. I thought this sounds super interesting and something I totally love. I love coming of age YA books. They are seriously my favorite genre ever. And the other thing I really love is illustrated covers like this. You're probably going to see that in the entirety of this video. They all have a very specific style to the covers because I just am so attracted to bright, pretty illustrated covers. I don't know why. They just seem so fun to me. But yeah, that's probably going to be the first book on my TBR. It's already on my February TBR because it will be released as an actual book, not just an arc soon. So the next book is called Honey Girl, and out of all of my 2021 anticipated releases, this is definitely up there as one of my most anticipated releases, and it'll be coming out this February, which is really soon, so I'm super excited. And also, even though I have an arc of it, it's going to be one of the February books for Book of the Month, and I'm considering getting the Book of the Month version, even though I technically have an arc. So that is something I have to think through. But anyway, it is about a 28-year-old woman named Grace, and she's just completed her PhD in, I think, astronomy. And don't quote me on that though, I don't exactly remember. But anyway, she's a super hardworking, overachiever type person, and out of character, she goes to Vegas on a girls' trip with her friends, and she ends up drunkenly marrying a stranger. And this stranger, she's a woman, is going to play a big role in the rest of the book. And yeah, I mean, that's all I know because I've just read the summary of it and that's it. But I just think that sounds great. And as someone who is quite uptight and like overworking and always just, you know, trying to be studious and stuff, I really love books that explore that kind of personality because I really think I can relate to that. And I think this one is going to be great because it's sapphic and it's contemporary. Both of those I love. And also it's an adult book and I haven't read many of those, so I'm excited to give that a try. So next is Love is for Losers. I just got approved for this maybe like a day ago. I'm pretty sure I requested it months and months ago. I forgot I even requested it, so I was surprised when I got the email that I got accepted. But I am so excited for this one. It's about a girl who's 15 and she vows to never fall in love with anyone. She thinks it's just a total scam. You should not fall in love. And then one day she gets a job at a thrift store and she meets a girl and things change. Maybe falling in love isn't the worst thing. I'm excited for this one because it's marketed as a YA romantic comedy, and I don't read many books with humor in it, so this is going to be an interesting take on young adult contemporary, because I feel like a lot of young adult contemporaries are not maybe on the serious side, but just aren't marketed as humor. So I think that will be fun to read. And the other thing that's really exciting is it is marketed as having the same vibes and humor and heart as the Netflix show Sex Education, and that is my favorite Netflix show ever. I usually do not finish TV shows because I just get distracted and I quit halfway through, but I've seen Sex Education all the way through, maybe like 2.5 times, because I love it. So hopefully this book is just like that show, because again, so good, my favorite ever. If you're familiar with a lot of YA books, I am sure you heard of this next book, especially if you've read Cemetery Boys, which I have up here because I loved it. But it is called Lost in the Neverwoods by the same author, Cemetery Boys, Aiden Thomas. And this one is a YA LGBT mystery fantasy, I'm pretty sure. That's what I'm assuming based off of the synopsis. But it's about a girl, Wendy, and her 2 brothers were lost in the woods 5 years ago. And then all of a sudden, after that event that happened 5 years ago, more kids from the town are starting to disappear. So this mystery of what happened 5 years ago is starting to resurface because there's some similarities. And I think this might be a retelling of a fairy tale. I am not positive, do not quote me on that, but whatever, it sounds great, and I'm really excited to see what Aiden Thomas has to bring to this story, because I really loved Cemetery Boys, but this book definitely sounds like it'll be a bit different, definitely in a different direction, so I'm excited. But also Aiden Thomas's writing is fantastic, and I love the characters that were in Cemetery Boys. So I'm sure Lost in the Neverwoods will have great characters too, and I love characters much more than plot, so I'm looking forward to that. I've mentioned this next book quite a few times because I have had the ARC for many months since last year, and then I never got to it, but I will get to it, and I probably can get to it before the publication date. But it is called She Is Too Pretty to Burn. This is marketed towards fans of The Picture of Dorian Gray, I'm pretty sure, because it did say that when I requested it on NetGalley, but it does not say that on Goodreads anymore. Or maybe it does, maybe I missed it, I don't know. But it is an LGBT YA thriller, and it's about 2 friends, I think their names are Veronica and Nico, and they're super artistic and they love their art and all of that. And then all of a sudden this other girl comes into the picture, and Veronica falls head over heels in love with her. Except things kind of get out of control and things are really intense, and all of a sudden there are murders that take place, and then drama. I don't know much else after that, but I just thought that sounded very mysterious and like it's going to be a super high-paced kind of thriller, and I love those, and I think this one is going to be great too. The next book is called Between Perfect and Real, and this is a YA contemporary book about a trans boy, except I'm pretty sure no one in the story, towards the beginning or whatever, knows that this character is trans. And there's a school play taking place, it's Romeo and Juliet, and there's some stereotyping / assumptions made when the characters are casted, and this affects the main character. And I don't know too much after that, but I think it's a YA coming of age book, and once again, for the millionth time, coming of age books about self-discovery and gender and sexuality have always been my favorite, so I'm sure I will love this one too. And I just always love books that are set in high school. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I just think they are endearing, and as someone who hated high school, I think it's fun to read in fiction. I don't know. So this is another one I've mentioned quite a few times because I'm super excited for it. I was not expecting to get an ARC, but I did get approved for one, and I'm so excited. It's called She Is Too Pretty to Burn, and this is a YA contemporary sapphic enemies to lovers book. And it's about sports, I guess. I don't know anything about sports, but will I read about sports? Absolutely, especially when it's about sapphic girls doing sports. Give it to me. I will absolutely read it. But in this book, the main character, I cannot remember her name, but she plays against her ex-girlfriend in a game. I do not know what the sport is. But anyways, she loses and that's humiliating. And then the main character also has some kind of nemesis, but then she and the nemesis are forced to carpool together, and then some kind of fake dating thing erupts in order to make the ex-girlfriend jealous. And I hope that is a correct synopsis of it, but I think that sounds amazing. I think it's going to be funny. I'm pretty sure it was marketed as a YA rom-com, and once again, as I've already mentioned in this video, I don't read many books with specifically humor in it, so I think that will be interesting, and I'm here for the fake dating, enemies to lovers thing. I think it's going to be wonderful. If you haven't guessed by now, most of these books are LGBT books, and a lot of them are sapphic books. This next book is also a sapphic book. It is called Cool for the Summer. It's another YA romance contemporary book, and it's about a girl named Laura, and she's always been in love with this football star. I think his name is Chase, and he's totally stereotypical, tall and handsome and kind, all of that. And she's loved him for like 3 years, and finally, this boy is talking to her, and she's super excited because he's into her, and that's great. But then also, in the back of her head, while all of this great stuff is happening to her, she keeps thinking about this girl. I think her name is Jasmine. And Jasmine and Laura met, I think, in the summer, and they had a great summer together, and all of a sudden there's all this confusion about what Jasmine means to this main character. So this is about self-discovery and identity, and I'm pretty sure the main character is confirmed bisexual, so that is cool. I think this is going to be another book that is supposed to be funny, maybe, question marks, but yeah, regardless, I think it's going to be fun. And then this last book, Just Like Honey Girl, is up there as one of my most anticipated books for 2021. And when I mean most anticipated books, I mean pretend this is my list of most anticipated books for 2021, and then this book is like all the way up here because I'm super excited for it. But it is called Thanks a Lot Universe, and this is actually a middle grade book. I think it's the only middle grade book I have mentioned in this video. But in this book, there is a boy named Brian, and he is super shy and anxious, has a issue with kind of fitting in with other people, and he is on the basketball team, except he's feeling anxious even while playing basketball, or when he's at home, or when he's at school, just all over the place. And then when he and his brother are put into foster care, things just get even worse, and he starts having panic attacks, and things are just not going well for Brian. There's also another character named Ezra. Ezra is pretty much the opposite of Brian. He is super popular, loves to talk to people. He is also on the same basketball team as Brian, except he's pretty much friends with everyone and even tries to be friends with Brian. But the problem is Brian is kind of pulling away from everyone. He seems to not be connecting with everyone, and this is kind of hard for Ezra because he wants to help Brian, he wants to reach out, but dun dun dun, he doesn't really want to because he doesn't want anyone to find out that he has a crush on Brian. I think this sounds adorable. And then it gets more serious. Brian ends up running away with his brother. That is going to be a big problem in the book, and that is when Ezra decides that he has to do something about it. I am incredibly excited for this book because I don't think many middle grade books tackle such serious topics. I know there are quite a few books out there that do tackle very serious topics in a middle grade audience, but I just don't think there's a lot of them. And I always love books that deal with themes of feeling like you don't belong, and I just think this one is really going to resonate with me. And also, literally just based off of the tiny little synopsis I read on Goodreads, I think I'm gonna fall in love with these characters. I just think they're gonna be great, and no matter what happens between them, I know at least their friendship sounds like it's gonna be amazing. And I may or may not have read quite a few Goodreads reviews. I tried to avoid spoilers, but they said it has a really happy ending, and I'm a sucker for happy endings. I love those, so I think this is gonna be so wonderful. I cannot wait to read this one. And that is the end of this list. I do have quite a few more arcs that I could have talked about. Let me know if perhaps any of you are interested in me going over the other arcs I still have to read. I will read them, I promise I will. I always get to them eventually. But yeah, these are the ones that I am most excited for, mostly just based off of things I've seen off of Twitter or Goodreads, or maybe just the synopsis on Goodreads or NetGalley. But yeah, I will get to them eventually, even though there's quite a few of them. I think they all sound wonderful, and I cannot wait for their actual publication dates for more people to read them. Let me know if you've read any of these books so I can try to sort out my priorities, because there's so many of them. But thank you again for watching. See you next video. It is called Thanks a Lot Universe, and it is about a boy. His name is, I forgot. It's called Thanks Again.